Hi guys, this is going to be a bit of a different one today. No gameplay, no anything like that. It's just going to be me sitting in front of a camera, telling you what I think about the early access, the start of the game, how the gameplay is, how the power curve's looking. And I'm seeing a lot of concerns on Twitter and sort of around the content creation scene about a few things. I kind of just want to address them. There's no real script for this. There's no plan. It's just going to be as things come into my head. I'm going to talk about them. I'll try and edit it down to make it a little bit more digestible, but it's just going to be me launching my brain out. So first of all, I just want to talk about the general gameplay. I'm seeing a lot of people complaining about certain things like the passing, like the defending, the dribbling's too strong, all these sort of things. And I'll break it down bit by bit because I think there's definitely something to be said about the community at large here and what they expect from a game. Now, if we go back to FC25 and we look at how poor the passing was, how poor the dribbling was, and you needed speed boosts to get past people, and there was certain play styles that you needed, like rapid or quick step, to be able to do that. If players didn't have them, they were basically useless at the start of the game. The attacking AI was non-existent. The defensive AI was way too strong, etc., etc. It was a very AI-driven defensive game. Now, that in turn leads to people thinking that they're good at defending and thinking that they're good at FIFA because they don't concede goals, whereas it was a very, very defense-heavy FIFA installment. It just was. This year, there's a lot more of a manual focus to defending. There's a lot more of a tactical side to defending, I feel, in terms of you having to cut passing lanes off. You can't just run around with a DM aimlessly. You've got to decide when to engage, when to back off, and sometimes even when to fake like you're going to engage and then back off in the same kind of defensive action, and then confusing the player that you're playing against. There's a lot of nuance to defending this year, and I feel the problem that we've got, and people are saying, I'm conceding 8-9 goals a game. Okay, cool. Get better at it. Learn. Because last year was so brainless defensively that this year, now you're having to think, you're having to be somewhat skilled to defend, that they're getting turned off. Now, that I'm hoping, and this is where my problem lies, is EA have said they're going to listen to the community this year, right? And we've got the first patch coming very soon, and I'm a little bit concerned about it, to be completely honest with you. But where I sit at the moment is if EA see complaints across social media and directly to them, they are immediately going to just patch it. And they're going to make it less manual, they're going to make it less skill-based, and they're going to make it less rewarding to be good at defending. Now, have I picked it up a little bit quicker than I thought I was going to? Yes. Am I great at it? No, I'm not. I'm not amazing at it, but I'm seeing where I'm going wrong, and I'm not having many goals. I was saying this on stream yesterday. 98% of my goals I know are my fault because I've either overran where I'm trying to defend, or I've dived in with a tackle, or I've not engaged where I probably should have. I can see where my fault is, whereas last year it was a lot of, actually, like, what could I have done more there? I'm just literally on the wrong side of some bad luck. So defending, I think, is in a good place, and I'm a little bit concerned. It's not in the best place that it could be, but nothing ever will be with EA. I think there's two extremes with EA. Does something work kind of, and does something work not at all? Whereas you kind of want to bring it in here somewhere, and you want aspects of the stuff that's not working to be brought up, and the things that are too strong you want them to be brought into the middle, right? That won't ever happen with EA. It seems like there's either an on or an off with them. So please, guys, I will ask you to persevere a little bit with defending. And that is just because, we've got to be careful what we wish for. We wanted more response from EA. We wanted them to be more active in listening to what we're saying. So don't just go on and say it's crap, it's this, it's the other, because you've not got good at it and you've not put the time in. So that would be my one thing about defending. In terms of the things that probably need tuning with defending, Counter-attacks are way too strong at the moment, and I think that's purely because the sort of spacing and tracking defensively on those counter-attacks isn't great. Most noticeably, if you've got an attacking corner and you lose the ball. Also, defending corners. The short corner seems to be really broken, but we'll get on to that. Kickoffs as well. Defending kickoffs is very difficult. So these are the things that probably need to be tuned upcoming. We'll see what happens. Dribbling wise, I want to say is in a very nice place now. For me personally, I am a dribbler. I love to pass the ball. I love to dribble. I love to play actual football. There is a couple of instances with this where I feel it probably does need a little bit of a tune. Now, I've played a couple of games where somebody's gone 1-0 up and they have just sort of started running around in their midfield on the spot, just circling. It's very difficult to get the ball off them just because of how strong dribbling is, especially if you've got somebody with technical, especially if you've got someone with enforcer. So that's something that probably does need looking at is how easily tackleable, I suppose. I don't know if that also runs into defending, but how long you can hold the ball for with one player before they start to fatigue and they start to... because in reality, you're never going to see a player, apart from in very odd circumstances, you're never going to see a player run from one end to the other, jinking in and out, doing little tricks, being able to chain a load of skill moves. And whilst that's fun, and I can see why people would say it's fun, there's also got to be a little bit of a realism aspect there. Because it is going to be very easy for people to go 1-0 up and just hold the ball. So dribbling, I think dribbling's in a great spot. For me personally, this is the best FIFA we've had at this stage on launch since FIFA 18's launch. And FIFA 18 for me is the gold standard of launch FIFAs. I thought it was fantastic. I thought that the defending was in a great place until they nuked it because people complained that defending was too hard and they were fed up of 10-9 games. But it is what it is. This game is very attacking based. It's an attacking based FIFA. It reminds me a lot of, not in the gameplay wise, but it reminds me a lot of FIFA 19 where there was a lot of goals going in and it was a lot more fun because of it. I didn't like the FIFA 19 gameplay, but I could understand and respect why people did. I think the removal of time shooting is great because it's stopping people being able to be bailed out for not being able to attack. Low drivens are something that needed tuning. They were too strong, especially at very high power, especially the low driven finesses in the box. Very, very strong, and the goalkeepers just weren't getting to them. So it's a good job they've been tuned in the first patch, which, we'll see how that goes. It's out now as I record this, so I will be getting some gameplay in over the weekend. I'll be streaming on Friday, so we'll get to see how that looks. Passing wise, now passing is something that's been addressed in the patch, and passing speed's gone up. I don't think passing needed to be touched, to be completely honest with you. You can tic-tac, you can go in, out, you can cross the ball now. Like, passing for me, as somebody that primarily runs a pass and move kind of attack, it really is incredible. I'm holding 65% possession a game, making over 200 passes a game. This is in my opponent's half as well, by the way. I'm not holding the ball in my own half. I'm not trying to be defensive with it. I'm just stretching people, waiting for openings. And for the first time in years, I feel like it's a viable gameplay style to be able to be good at football, right? And to be able to think in a football way. I personally believe, and this is where it's a discussion. Speak to me in the comments. Let me know what you think. But my personal feeling on this is this game is going to suit people that understand football, and it's going to suit people that have got a good footballing brain. Now, I like to think I've got a good understanding of the game. I played since I was young. I played at some academy level. It never went anywhere, but I've always liked the analysis side of the game. I've always liked the stats side of the game and being able to understand why things happen and where things happen and all that kind of stuff. And I think this is the first game in a long time where I felt I can play football and not FIFA. And this is another thing I want to mention. The fundamentals that, you see people talk about every year. You see, I rant on about it all the time. You see people like Alexion going about fundamentals, Keanu. You see people, you don't see a lot of pros going about the fundamentals too much because they are obviously playing a different game to us in a sense. But just in our little side of the community, there's a lot of people that preach fundamentals over FIFA. And for the last few years, it's not really shown in the gameplay. This year, all those fundamentals, if you've been on it since sort of FIFA 20, FIFA 21, and you've been locking in them fundamentals, the pass and move, making sure your body's in the right position, cutting passing lanes, knowing when to go, when to stay, decoy runs, knowing how to pull your opponents out, all those classic footballing things, if you've locked those down, you are going to have a great time with this game. The people that aren't having a great time at the moment are the loudest voices. They're saying, oh, it's this, it's that, it's the other, blah, 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 whatever. I personally believe if you stick at it, if you give it some time, if you find the right tactic for you, don't just blindly copy anything that you see on Twitter or on YouTube or whatever. Don't blindly copy it and think, well, actually, that's it. I'm going to be fine now. I'll get this player or Evo this player, whatever. Find a way that suits you because there is so many different ways this year that the game can run. I've seen people use big men up front and cross the ball. I've seen people use tiny women all over the pitch and using that agility and the quick change of direction to be able to fool you. I've seen people, do all sorts of different things, put loads of passes in their midfield and just literally box it around. It's incredible. The variation in gameplay this year is so interesting and makes for a lot more of a fun experience. Now, I'm not the best player in the world by any stretch of the imagination. I'm decent at FIFA. I've always been all right. I've always got to the Elite Division. I've always done all right in Champs. This year at the moment, I'm in Div 5, looking to get into Div 4 to try the ladder. I'm all right. But do not take, my advice as somebody that's dead good at the game and all that sort of stuff. This is just my opinions, and I want a discussion with you lot. I want to see what you lot think and how you feel about it. One final thing before we go, though, and I want to talk about this, is the power curve. Now, we've seen the leak. Well, if you haven't seen the leaked team, the team for Cornerstones, which is being released on Friday at 6 p.m, has been leaked. Now, there's a few players in there, like Valverde, who's come out with the same rating, a couple of upgraded stats and a different playstyle plus. Palmer and Bruno have had a +1, but then there's a lot of 85 and lower cards from different teams as well. Like Brad Guzan's in there. Really cool, like giving past and presents for different teams other options, which I think is really cool. Now, I've seen a lot of people say, oh, I wish this isn't the way they change the power curve. Like, why don't they give other people, different cards, whatever? They have really. There's a lot of variance in the cards in this promo. If you look in and you see how many of them have had promo cards over the last X amount of years, there is going to be a few, like obviously Valverde, Palmer, Bruno. I believe that Luis Diaz is in there as well. They do need pack fillers. They need pack sellers. So there's always going to be those 4 or 5 at the very top of the promo that are going to be those pack sellers. But then there's other cards in there. There's a woman from Freiburg Women. There is obviously Brad Guzan, as I mentioned. There's a few others as well that are down at the 83, 84 range. And this to me is great. The rewards, again, I've seen people complaining, they're just trying to make us more coin poor, all this, that and the other. Which, that does kind of slow down the power curve to a degree, because if coins are less accessible, it means that the top cards are less accessible, which means that they will be on that platform. And as long as they don't release promo cards that shoot way above where the gold cards and the base icons and the base heroes are, we're going to be in a good spot. I think people love to find something to complain about, right? And especially this community find literally everything they can to be able to complain about. Let's, for once in our lives, right? And this isn't me saying it's a perfect game. I'm not glazing EA. I'm not saying, this is it. We've found it. This, for me, is just saying, let's temper our expectations a little bit. Gameplay-wise, we are in the best spot we've been in for a long time. And also, not just that, we're in a spot where there isn't really a great deal that needs doing to the game. Yes, there's little things, and yes, you know, the rewards will scale with time. We've been told that. The draft rewards are a lot better. You know, little things like that. They are listening. They are improving. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt for once. Granted, they've not listened for years and years and years, and I understand people's tolerance levels are probably down here with EA. But, and this is a big thing for me, is you cannot expect someone, and this goes for real life as well, right? You cannot expect someone to change if you are constantly expecting the worst of them, right? Because eventually they're going to revert. They're going to revert to type, and it's going to be like, oh well, I knew you were going to do that. Oh well, you've always been shit. But in fact, if you build people up and say, actually, you've done this really well, you've done this really well, you've done this really well, keep fucking doing that, and don't. Because the things that you're complaining about at the moment are so minor. They are so minute. And we should be focusing on this bit. And yes, we should be talking about this bit. But we shouldn't be, you know, diving in and saying, this is the, you know, you're idiots. So you expect this from EA. EA is shit. Da, 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 da. We want this. And the more of this that you try and overblow, the more of this you're going to get, in my opinion. And we've seen it years and years. We've seen it for years, right? So if one thing from this video that you take, let's be a bit more bloody positive, because there is a lot to be positive about in this game. So that's me signing off for now. It was just, as I say, just a little bit of what's going on in my brain about the game. Hopefully you guys are enjoying it. Hopefully you're having a good time. This is going to go out on Thursday evening, probably around about 4 or 5 p.m. So stay tuned for the stream, which is going to be 8 p.m. on Friday, and then the tactic, which is going to be Liverpool 25-26, which drops on X on Tuesday at 5 p.m. And then the video is going to come out on Thursday at 5 p.m, which is going to go into a little bit more depth about why I've chosen certain roles, why it plays a certain way, etc., etc. So, until then, have a good one, and I'll catch you in a bit.